Okay. You're welcome for the weather. We arranged it. Okay, you go. Okay. So one of the problems with knowing a fair amount of you tonight is that I can start calling you out if you're still standing. Well, I can't get it any closer. Yeah. Hey, Colin, can we turn the volume up? We good? Yay? Okay. Thank you all for being here tonight. To old friends, to new friends, to those I haven't met yet, I am deeply delighted to have a night to come together to celebrate this community. Can we have a round of applause for everyone here in this room tonight? Okay. This is a night of celebration, and we are excited about it, to celebrate our community and to honor our award recipient. Especially given how busy everyone's schedules are, it is a Tuesday night, it is a school night. Thank you for being here, and it is a joy to see you. My name is Jordan Diamond, and I have the fantastic privilege of serving as the president of the Environmental Law Institute. And it's on behalf, thank you. And on behalf of everyone at ELI, welcome. I hope many of you were able to enjoy a glass, maybe of water, maybe of wine, maybe of something else out at the reception. And I hope you are enjoying catching up with colleagues and maybe meeting some new peers. But now that you are settled at your tables and hopefully starting in on your salads, we are excited to begin tonight's program. So as I said, this is an event that is meant to be an opportunity to sit back and reflect, consider, and celebrate the work of the environmental law and policy community. This isn't about wins and losses, but rather on the collective energy and ingenuity and dedication that is represented in this room tonight. The people in this room come together time and again to discuss our differences because we all want what's best for future generations. That is something worth celebrating. I would like to take a moment to recognize some particular members of this community. So first and foremost, to our public servants, thank you for your service across federal, state, and local government. Thank you. Hey. Next, to ELI's Board of Directors. I'm going to ask all of my board members to take a moment and stand so we can recognize you. Thank you. You may notice this is not a small board, and this is not a light lift board. Our board devotes their time, their energy, their support to really dig into what ELI does and help lead this organization. And I can't express my gratitude enough. And next, so this will still be some of our board members, but can I ask all the members of our leadership council to stand? Thank you. Thank you. These are ELI's most generous supporters. They come, they give their expertise, they support all of our work throughout the year, and we would not be here without them. And then to all of you sitting here tonight. So thank you, whether you are a longtime member and dedicated sponsor, or honestly, if you're with someone here tonight and you never heard of ELI before, all of you, thank you for being here tonight. You turned off your laptops, you made your way over, and you're really here and invested in the evening. So 2024, it's been quite a year. We have not been bored at ELI. We continue to work to strengthen environmental governance and provide trusted and evidence-based information to those who need it. A few weeks ago, I was a guest speaker not before the legal community, but before a much harsher and critical community known as my son's first grade class. I'll be honest, I had not thought to prepare for the fact that I was supposed to present about what an environmental lawyer is. And on autopilot, I started talking about analysis and dialogue around persistent and emerging environmental governance challenges. Pro tip, that's not a good way to engage 6-year-olds. Because if you are 6, or if you're 36 or 106, you don't want to know what someone's doing, you want to know why. We all want a livable planet for our kids, or our neighbors, or our grandkids. There isn't a soul in a seat out here tonight that doesn't like the idea of breathable air, bountiful food, and drinkable water. If I asked you all for your favorite animal, which is how I got those 6-year-olds back invested in what I was saying, you probably have one. At our forum a few hours ago, we talked about pandas. You probably have a favorite flower or a favorite hike, whether that's in a national park or in the middle of an urban wonderland. I think there is a great deal of alignment on the why of what we do. There is a lot of divergence on the how, and that is where ELI lives. We provide expert information, resources, and space for dialogue as people dig into the how. So this is going to be not the most exciting part of the program for all of you, but part of the reason that we come together tonight is to celebrate our community, and part of it is a chance for ELI to tell you a little bit about what we do all year. So for decades, ELI has been a trusted, independent expert resource. We exist to provide the information that people need to make good governance solutions. Sometimes that's publishing an insightful or thought-provoking article in one of our magazines, the Environmental Forum or Environmental Law Reporter. Sometimes it's doing a 50-state implementation survey of a particular law or analyzing existing authorities in a particular area. And sometimes it's creating a place for trusted, candid, good faith, creative conversation about a particular challenge. That's a lot of jargon. Let me give you a few examples of what we mean. Over the past 6 months, we have hosted the 16th annual meeting of state and tribal water managers to talk about one of the most challenging aspects of water governance, non-point source solution. We have supported partners in understanding the implications of recent Supreme Court decisions on management of our nation's waters, ocean, and natural resources, from Loper Bright to Corner Post and beyond. We hosted a multi-day conference in The Hague for thousands of participants from 55 countries focused on the how of environmental peace building. We produced a toolkit for supporting municipalities working to reduce the gap between the percentage of food wasted in the US and the number of households that experience food insecurity. Next week, we're hosting a webinar for our members on potential upcoming changes to federal permitting legislation. Next month, we'll host ELI's acclaimed Eastern Boot Camp for anyone looking for a refresher or an introduction to our nation's environmental laws. And before the end of the year, we have team members traveling around the world for judicial education meetings, convening environmental enforcement and compliance officials, and women leaders in water diplomacy from Korea to Australia and beyond. I could keep going, but I won't. I mention these examples because, as I said, tonight is about community and also a chance for us to showcase a bit about who we are as an organization at ELI. We are a small organization, but for over half a century, we've been a trustworthy resource dedicated to moving environmental governance forward. And that's because our staff may be small, but they're brilliant. They are incredibly dedicated. And we do that because of all of you who are our partners around the world. Tonight, we are thrilled to be focusing on sustainable transportation, a critical piece of the puzzle on our way to a carbon neutral economy. A few hours ago, we hosted the second annual Firestone Policy Forum, honoring the legacy of Judge Nancy Firestone, which featured an incredible lineup of speakers delving into the opportunities and obstacles associated with electric vehicle infrastructure. And soon, we are excited to present the Environmental Achievement Award to Cynthia Williams. I don't want to get ahead of the program, but can we just take a moment to applaud? For over 30 years, Cynthia has been charting Ford's and the auto industry's path to accelerate progress at the busy intersection of transportation, sustainability, and equity. Peers remark that Cynthia's career has been rooted in integrity, a word that we hold dear at ELI. They note her tireless engagement with policymakers and stakeholders alike, and that with obstacles on the path to sustainability, in which the issues are often complex, controversial, and fast-moving, when those obstacles seem insurmountable, Cynthia finds a way to chart a path forward around, over, or through them. We are delighted to be honoring Cynthia and her work tonight, and I'm excited for you all to hear more about her and then from her soon. But for now, I will step back and stop talking just after I say two more thank yous. The first is to our incredible staff who make tonight happen. Thank you. To Megan Dix, Kathy Way, Renee West, Laura Goldman, Jen Norman, Madison Calhoun, Sarah Viken, Colin Gibson-Tansel, Nick Collins, Maya Sokoloff, Evan Odoms, Alicia Grace, Rachel Jean-Baptiste, Loretta Reinersman, and so many more. Thank you for all the heart and energy that you put into making this a special education. If you guys want to just take one moment to look towards the back of the room, our staff are seated in the back, and just say thank you. Thank you. This also includes someone I am very excited to introduce to the room tonight, a new member of our team. So Katie Mabarty had joined us yesterday as our new Vice President of Development. We are very excited for you to all get to know her in the days and weeks and months to come. So Katie, we're so excited to have you here. The second thank you is to our fabulous sponsors. I'm deeply grateful for tonight and the chance to connect across our profession in a spirit of camaraderie even when we disagree, and in the spirit of problem solving because it's needed. It's an evening made possible by tonight's sponsors. To everyone whose name and logo is on one of the center stands at your table, who you'll see rotating on the slides, on the screens up front, in the programs you each found on your seats, and more, from first-time sponsors to multi-table repeat sponsors, we're so grateful to all of you for supporting ELI's work throughout the year. And now, if you've been to the dinner before, you know that what comes next is a thank you video. If you have not been to the dinner before, let me share a little context. There is a long-standing tradition of our staff creating a video that thanks all of our sponsors and ties in with the theme of the night. There's also a long-standing tradition of trying to make you laugh or at least shake your head. It always highlights two things: our profound gratitude to all of you for your support, and why you should be deeply, profoundly grateful that we chose law and policy as a career over cinematography and maybe trying for an Oscar. So without that, if you can start the video, and then please enjoy your dinner.
In a world where transportation is key and technologies keep changing, one nonprofit seeks to thank its sponsors and maybe, hopefully, make a room laugh. Journey Through Time 2, Transportation. Coming October 22nd, 2024 to a theater near you.
Wilmer, Cutler, Pickering, Hale, and Dorr. Perkins Coie, Toyota, and First Environment.
Arnold and Porter, K. Scholler. Center for Climate and Energy Solutions, Farella Braun and Martel.
Ah, the boat, how it truly expanded our horizons, and via the river of knowledge came Alston and Bird and the Environmental Defense Fund.
And down along the river, we also had Bergeson and Campbell, Geosyntech Consultants, and Skadden, Arps, Slate, Marr, and Flum.
And don't forget the Monterey Bay Aquarium. All aboard! Lawyers, scientists, educators, and creators alike can now take a seat on this train to success. BNSF Railway Company, Hess Corporation, IBM, FGS Global, Baker and Hostetler, McGuire Woods, Paul Hastings. Next up on the train to philanthropy aisle, now boarding.
Building this new generation in transport isn't easy.
Or pretty.
But it's hard work that makes a difference.
Dang right. Here's a roster of groups that have joined ELI and making a difference.
Constellation Energy Corporation, Hunton Andrews Kurth, Crawley and Maury, Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, Pittman,
Aiken Gump Strauss, Hauer and Feld, Pfizer, Kirkland and Ellis.
Carrying the masses towards greatness is a huge responsibility, but one that will be cherished for decades to come. From one corner of the world to the next, our sponsors bring positive change to the communities they touch. Sidley Austin, Ford Motor Company, Holland and Knight, Beveridge and Diamond, Martin Law, Bracewell, and Baker Botts.
We've come pretty far.
Yeah, to think that my car can help me avoid traffic on the 495?
And help me with my parallel parking.
OMG, yes.
But I can't help but wonder what's next. How much further can we go? And how can we make sure that progress isn't made at the expense of the environment?
Well, I know that there are organizations, companies, and individuals who have and will continue to take initiative to do exactly that.
Oh, really?
Of course. I know of a Greenberg Trarick, King and Spalding, and Latham and Watkins.
Oh, yes, and Hogan Lovells, Wiley Rhine, Shook Hardy and Bacon, and DLA Piper.
Yup. As long as we have people fighting for a sustainable present
And future.
we'll be all right. Maybe one day we'll even get to drive a flying car.
ELI, start car.
Good morning, Tallinn. Starting car. Enjoy your emissions-free flight.
Today, I enter this world with the knowledge that those before me took great strides to ensure an environmentally sound future. Today, I can traverse this special place with the knowledge that one day I can leave behind a legacy of my own. And finally, today I thank those who have always and will always support people, places, and the planet.
And we'd also like to thank Van Ness Feldman.
So I am back to start the main event of the evening. And I will do that by introducing the remarkable individual who will introduce our awardee tonight. Last spring, Serena McElwain was confirmed as the Maryland Department of the Environment's 11th secretary. Thank you. Prior to this appointment, she was the Undersecretary of California's Environmental Protection Agency. A lifelong resident of the DC area, Secretary McElwain worked in the federal government for 30 years, spending the first half of her career as an operations administrator and leading large organizations with billion-dollar budgets. Then midway through her career, transitioning to managing policy issues in the energy and environmental sector. She held senior executive positions at DOE as COO and Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Office of Fossil Energy, and at EPA as Assistant Regional Administrator in Region 9. Today, Secretary McElwain uses her broad and diverse background in the public sector, in both the executive and legislative branches, to lead the Maryland Department of Environment, where her priorities include combating climate change, fostering environmental justice, protecting the Chesapeake, and achieving organizational excellence. So Secretary McElwain, thank you for being with us tonight.
They got quiet for me. Hello, everybody. Now there's no excuse to listen because I'm not in between your dinner. You've already eaten. All right, well, good evening, everyone. It's really good to be here amongst friends. Yes, all of us are friends. We're friends because we have a lot in common, all of us. All of us care deeply about protecting the environment. Many of us have devoted our lives to understanding how the framework of environmental policy and environmental law benefits people, communities, businesses, and industry. And we all feel that we are responsible for protecting the children of our future. Because climate change is a real danger that we cannot, none of us, take lightly. We have to do everything we can to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the environment. And in order for us to meet our national climate goals, it really takes the power and the commitment and leadership of subnational leaders. For example, in Maryland, where I serve as the secretary. Yep, let's give it up for Maryland. In Maryland, we have, not to brag, the most aggressive climate goals in the country. But we also have a lot of challenges with those goals, with meeting those goals. So, for example, we must tackle the transportation sector aggressively because 40% of greenhouse gas emissions is the metric we have in Maryland. We must take the transportation sector seriously in reducing greenhouse gases. But we're struggling in Maryland because citizens are just uncomfortable with buying EVs because of fear of inadequate charging infrastructure, range anxiety, and more importantly, misinformation from media and Instagram and Facebook, just giving bad information about the real benefits of an EV. In Maryland, here's some facts I want you to know. In Maryland, we have 6 million cars on the road. 113,000, listen, out of 6 million are EVs. So we have a challenge. We want to get to 1.3 million EVs on the road in Maryland by 2035. We only have 5,360 electric chargers on the road right now in communities. We need to get to 43,000 EVs so that we have enough for the 1.3 million we're planning for. And so what we're doing, we're relying on the automotive industry to help embrace and be a part of the clean transition. We need the automotive industry to invest in EVs, to invest in technology, to invest in charging infrastructure, and to be a part of the solution. And although I'm saying that we're relying on industry to help us, what I'm really saying is we're relying on the leaders who are in place in those companies because they are the ones that matter most. We need leaders that are passionate about transitioning to a clean economy. We need leaders that understand the importance of a just transition and believe deeply in protecting the environment. And that brings me to the lady of the hour, Miss Cynthia Williams. I am so honored to be up here right now to celebrate Cynthia Williams. The story of Cynthia Williams is a beautiful one. So put your forks down so you can hear this little story. She combined her love for the automotive industry and her passion for protecting the environment. Cynthia grew up in Flint, Michigan, and was a part of a family that devoted their entire lives to the automobile industry. Her grandfather, he started at General Motors during the 1940s. And her father, a generation later, and all of her uncles, and literally all of his friends, and the whole family joined GM as well. So when Cynthia graduated from college as a new engineer, she was afraid to tell her parents and all of her relatives the unthinkable. She was going to join her dad's #1 rival, Ford Motors. So one evening, she finally built the courage to tell her father about her plans. And with a long stare, her father looked her straight in her eyes with a stern disposition. And after about 30 minutes of silence, he raised one eyebrow, and suddenly he started smiling. And he said, "It's all right, honey. At least you're joining one of the big three." So relieved, she smiled back, and then she began her journey at Ford. And that was in 1992. And she's still there today, doing great things. And although she was very much aware of how the transportation industry has changed over the years, she never imagined that she would be witnessing yet another transformation in the automobile industry, which is the revolution of the electric vehicles. And now she's the global director of sustainability, and she is directly shaping this transition and leading her company towards a sustainable future by embracing the climate change movement. Cynthia, thank you. Yes, for Cynthia. Cynthia is also leading Ford's toward a net zero goal no later than 2050. And she says, quote, "We can't make the change feel like a trade-off." She also warned America that if we want an all-American, an all-electric future, we need to catch up with other countries that are way ahead of America. She specifically advised that in order for us to get ready for an all-electric future, we need policymakers to harmonize environmental regulations, and that we need to, quote, "strengthen the supply base here and create more jobs here in America." Cynthia has opened our eyes to realize that we, America, we have the technology, the leadership, the ingenuity to respond to the environmental crisis with courage. She has challenged entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, manufacturers to take the challenge and accept the social responsibility to build a future of electric vehicles here in our country. and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector to save our planet. And from her words to your ears right now, she says this, and quote, "As a person who has dedicated my life to sustainability, the road ahead is paved and promised. We must build a better future for the next 3 generations of our families." Cynthia has played a key role in advancing Ford's Road to Better strategy, which creates equitable, inclusive, and sustainable transportation for all of us in this room. And because of Cynthia, I see a future that's bright for Maryland and for our country. Cynthia, I am so honored. I am so honored to just be here and be the person who's introducing you soon for an award. I appreciate the relationship that we have on the board together at VELOZ. And I am so happy to watch you make history and making this country's future cleaner and greener. And before we get on with the award, I want to take a moment to let Cynthia's colleagues share a video that they have prepared for you. It's a short video, so let us all watch it together.
Most of the public speaking that I do is about electric cars and the strategies that Ford Motor Company and its partners are doing. Now today, we're experiencing another major transformation. Many are calling it the electric vehicle revolution. We understand the urgency of climate change, and we understand that we have to do things now in order to make a difference. Making sure that we can educate consumers on a better choice, a lower carbon solution. It means so much to me because kids, I want them to have an environment where it's clean, they have fresh water, they have zero emissions.
To make things happen faster, you have to think differently. You can't just collaborate with the same people because you get the same answer, right? You need to broaden your collaboration space. Go outside of your industry.
We all have to work together to build a better future for the next 3 generations of my family and yours.
Raise your hand if you know a little slang. Just some slang, one slang word. Are you serious? Let me try that again. Raise your hand if you are familiar with just one slang word. All right, here's one for you. Let's give it up for a bad sister. Okay. I'm gonna talk about this award. I'm gonna talk about this award for a second. ELI's Environmental Achievement Award is awarded annually to a leader in the environmental field, someone who brings dedication and ingenuity to make progress on today's critical issues. For her collaborative leadership in sustainable and equitable transportation, it is my pleasure to join ELI in presenting the 2024 Environmental Achievement to Miss Cynthia Williams.
Thank you, and greetings, and thank you to everyone. This means so much to me. It's such a privilege to be here with all of you tonight. And it's such a beautiful venue with such beautiful people, and all with the common goals. Goals of an environment, a society where we can all have clean air to breathe. As many of you know, my name is Cynthia Williams. I lead the Global Sustainability, Homologation and Compliance team at Ford Motor Company. I've been with the company, it'll be 33 years in January. It's hard to believe it's been that long. In all but 1 year, I've been in the sustainability area, so I've really dedicated my life to sustainability and fighting for what's right, for not only the environment, but for people and equity. From a career standpoint, recognizing the focus and impact the work that my team and I do every day, it's easy to see why we're so excited about the work that we do. I am so fortunate to be in the forefront of real environmental and social progress every day. As the Global Director of Sustainability, Homologation and Compliance at Ford Motor Company, the last several years, me and my team, we've been laser focused on leading the company's efforts to achieve carbon neutrality no later than 2050, and supporting the transition to electric vehicles. The work has a way of speaking for itself. In fact, the progress that we've made has been measurable and powerful, and it remains a huge pride point for me. But what really is important in terms of my role, that has enabled me to live my personal passion, focusing on equity, healthy communities, and a sustainable future are cornerstones of what we do and what drives me and my family every day. My husband, Paige, he's here with me tonight, and he can certainly attest. What drives me and my family are the values that coincide with my work at Ford Motor Company. Growing up in Flint, Michigan, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of environmental struggles and social inequity. And so when I speak about the importance of clean water, clean air, it's not just sound bites, it's personal. That's why the biggest advice I would give to anyone who's entering the workplace, especially as they are entering into leadership roles, is to always give back. You simply have to. As I rose through the ranks of Ford Motor Company, I will always make it a priority to give back to the communities around me. And it was the best decision I've ever made. Sure, it's a lot of hours out of the day that I didn't have, but you simply have to give back. But you find time for what's important and what really, really matters. And as such, I love my work, and of course, for my family, I knew that we had to do more. I think a lot of us can relate to that. We're all busy, but we want to make sure that we are making the most good that we can do in our daily lives. but really, it's unusual. It involves work and home, but the more that we can do, it's daunting. There's more work that has to be done. As proud as I am of the impact that I get to help a company on a global scale, like Ford, the engagement I have with my own community is just as powerful and far more personal. Something I don't talk about a lot is the mentoring work that I do with high school girls, or teaching students about the engineering disciplines. And nothing is more rewarding for me than the work that I do with the Torch of Wisdom Foundation in Southeast Michigan. I get to mentor girls who are smart, passionate, sassy, and a handful, and candidly way brighter and more interested in careers in engineering, in law, and mental health. To be honest, sometimes they drive me crazy, but they are so much fun and impressive. Probably the most impressive group that I've been around and that I've ever met. Many of them are overcoming incredible hardships to follow their dreams and climb higher than anyone has expected them to. And I get to be part of that, and that matters to them, to me, to society. I get to work with them, sure, on homework, but it's more important I get to talk to them about their dreams, how to overcome obstacles, and how they can make a difference in the future. And isn't that why we are all here and passionate about social and environmental sustainability? It's for the future. Well, they are the future. And investing time and local level truly benefits me as much as it benefits them. And I can't stress enough the value and personal fulfillment you will get from mentoring. And if you don't take anything away from my speech tonight, please take that. Sure, we can all and we should do the best we can with our jobs to make a difference, but the real difference comes from stepping outside of your comfort zone and giving back. That's why we will drive the hope for tomorrow, and that's how we will drive the hope for tomorrow, for both the planet and for the communities around us. I think recognizing that there has got to be a better way of working, living, and treating each other. That has guided me to push so hard, oftentimes battling over the years for what's right and what actions will help account for the most people. And while no workplace is perfect, Ford has really come through with its commitment to its people and the communities all across the globe that we serve. We live in a world, and I fully recognize that it's not often that you can live your personal passion and values and so closely with your career. It almost sounds too good to be true. And I won't lie to you, some days I find myself pulling my hair out, the little that I have left anyway, in frustration that we aren't doing enough. But that's why we keep moving, and that's why we keep pushing. Those feelings are always subside when I remember that Rome wasn't built in a day, And like my mom, something my mom used to always say, you have to crawl before you walk. But we are making progress. We're making progress to fight the climate crisis that has the potential to be catastrophic to our children and our grandchildren's futures. This sentiment is captured in what we at Ford call the road to better. Ford's purpose has always been bigger than just building vehicles. We're driven by the desire to build a better world. That's why we're taking bold actions to build trust with our stakeholders globally and creating value responsibly. The road to better is Ford's commitment to do more, to be more sustainable, inclusive, and providing equitable transportation for the future. We recognize we have a long way to go, but we're on a path that's building a better world where every person is free to move and pursue their dreams. I feel a lot of us in this room tonight can relate to being on the road to better. Most of our work, volunteering or lifestyles focusing on environmental and social sustainability in some regard, and we know how windy that road can be. The work in this space is never finished, and posts always moving. The goalposts are always moving. And there's always something that we can and should do. Obstacles are around every corner. It can feel like a constant uphill climb. But we know that if we continue on our path, we will eventually make progress. We innovate our way through solutions we never thought possible. We work together to make sure that people aren't left behind in this electric vehicle clean transportation transition. And we don't give up on the easiest path, which we know the road to better never is. In my career and in my personal life, I think a lot about values, the values that are important to my family, the values that are integral to my work at Ford. And along this journey, I realized one thing: good people find good people. Am I right? Just look around this room. Now let's take a look at some of the core values and focus areas of the Environmental Law Institute, for example. They mirror and complement the work that we do at Ford and the effort me and my family focus on quite beautifully. The first core principle I'd like to take a look at is focusing on a healthy environment. We couldn't be more in lockstep with this first core value. At Ford, we do so by focusing on several elements of our operations and our products, which leading the transition to an electric vehicle, conserving water and energy, reducing waste, and beyond. One specific example that I am passionate about is in the area of the amount of water that we've saved and preserved for communities around the globe. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and I don't need to tell you the horrors of what's possible without clean drinking water, a basic human right. That's why I'm so proud that Ford and we've been a part of an effort for the company to save over 186 billion gallons of drinking water since 2000. Which is a 76% reduction in fresh water use. And last year, Ford used less than 20% water globally, which is enough to supply a year's worth of water to 1.7 million homes. To me, that's worth something. And in addition to these focus areas within Ford, there's so much more to be done to ensure a well-rounded environmental advocacy, which I know the Environmental Law Institute and many of you in this room focus on every day. Now let's look at the second core principle, supporting a prosperous economies. As noble as many of the intentions are, the reality is sustainable progress will not happen if we don't continue to develop thriving, successful economies. And I believe we are entering into an incredible, exciting times where the countless examples of economic initiatives that are good for the planet and that they are also good for business. Many of those focus on what's right here in Ford's operations. My team and I work hard every day to drive the electric transportation adoption, which includes an entire ecosystem, from sustainable and responsible supply chain to using sustainable materials to implementing clean energy solutions. A clear example of the effort my team is leading right now is the work that Ford is doing around energy, and which that includes the use of 100% carbon-free electricity no later than 2035. And we're well on our way to meeting that goal. Especially the work that we're doing with DTE to install the Midwest's largest solar installation ever to help power our operations. I could go on, but what's important about the work that we're working together with NGO partners, we're working with governments, and we're working with key stakeholders in our respective ecosystems to make sustainable business prosper. And maybe the most important to me is ELI's third core value, to inspire vibrant communities. Making sure all communities, not just the wealthy, have a chance to prosper with economic opportunities. Environmental protections is so critical to this environmental justice that we seek. My team and I work a lot on issues in the center around equity, including supporting the electric vehicle charging infrastructure from our network in not just the metro areas, but also in rural and underserved communities as well. Again, the list can go on and on, but we must remember it is our poorest communities that are often impacted by disproportionately by climate change. And it's not just about ensuring environmental safeguards, but it's about supporting public health and equitable opportunities for all to thrive. We're doing a lot, but we know there's more that we can do. And together we can. I like to conclude with one of my favorite quotes from none other than Martin Luther King Jr. that states, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." In words that I've taken with me from a little girl from Flint, Michigan to a global leader at Ford Motor Company, we're fighting for what's right, whether it be people, the environment, or society at large. It's something that should be sacred to everyone. And if you're like me, you're fortunate enough to get to practice and strategize throughout your everyday life and your career. So to all the youth out there today, keep learning, ask tough questions, fight the good fight, enter a profession that you are passionate about and that you can bring together your passions of what your company values. I think that's so important. But I'd like to thank you again to the Environmental Law Institute for such an incredible award. Our work is definitely not even close to being done. But with organizations like yours and great companies doing the right thing, I know we are on a path for something that can give us all hope. Thank you.